Adding assets to your Reacts session. In the previous tutorial, we explained how to add assets to your library when you are not in a live React session. We will now show you how to add assets during a live session. In the main session interface, the assets can be found in the left-hand column. As previously mentioned, it is organized by category: images, videos, 3D objects, snapshot gallery, scenes, documents, checklists, and reports. Note that, if desired, it is possible to hide the asset column by clicking on the small arrow to the left of the title. Clicking on it again makes the assets column reappear. Clicking on any of the asset categories in the assets column will open a narrow vertical panel pertaining to the chosen category. We will use the images category again for this example. This vertical window is the assets quick picks area. It is in this area that you will place the assets you wish to use during a session. By default, you will have no assets in any of your quick picks when you begin. To add assets to your quick picks, you need to click on the big plus button at the bottom of the quick picks area. Clicking on the plus button will open your Reacts library. If you haven't previously imported the desired assets to your library, you can do so by clicking on Import New Images and following the steps explained in the previous tutorial. Once the assets are in your Reacts library, you are ready to add them to your quick picks. Adding assets to your quick picks in the various asset categories is pretty easy. You can do so in 3 different ways. The first is by simply clicking on the asset in your library and dragging and dropping it over the quick picks area. The second is by selecting the desired asset in the library, right-clicking, and selecting Add to Quick Picks. The third way is by selecting the asset in the library by clicking on it and then clicking on the blue Add to Quick Picks button located in the upper right corner of the library screen. Note that you can select multiple assets by holding down the Control key on your keyboard while selecting the desired library assets with your mouse. Once all the desired assets are selected, drag and drop them into the Quick Picks area, or use one of the other 2 ways described to add them. Once an asset is placed in the Quick Picks area, it is uploaded to your session and encrypted. While this takes place, you will see the asset appear as a black thumbnail with revolving arrows. When the process is complete, the actual asset thumbnail is displayed and the revolving arrows disappear. The upload and encryption process is usually very quick. Processing times will depend on asset file sizes and your internet connection. Once all of the assets you wish to use during a session are in your quick picks area, you simply need to close the library. You are now ready to use your assets in your React session by dragging and dropping the desired assets from the quick picks area to the collaborative canvas or scene. To close a quick picks window, just click on the Asset Categories icon. Anytime you want to add an asset to a scene during a session, you simply need to click on the asset category, select the desired asset, and drag and drop it into the scene. As previously explained in the tutorials describing the main collaborative canvas, you can drop an asset on the canvas or scene as either a background or as an asset. The latter can be freely moved, rotated, and resized. If you'd like a bigger view of an asset in your quick picks, just place your mouse over the asset. After a second, a preview of the asset will be displayed. Right-clicking on a selected asset will open a menu with the following options: Remove, Rename, Add Note, Send by Email. Clicking on Remove will simply remove the asset from your quick picks area. Note that the asset will still be present in your Reacts library. Clicking on Rename will open the Edit Assets panel, allowing you to change the asset's name and add a note if desired. Clicking on Add Note will open the same Edit Assets panel. Clicking on Send Asset by Email opens a panel that allows you to enter an email address, a subject, and a message related to the assets you would like to send. To add additional assets to any of the QuickPicks categories, just repeat the steps previously described. Note that the asset that you add to a session will be deleted when you close your session unless you save the session. To save a session, click on the Sessions icon in the Actions column to the right, then on Save or Save As. You will later be able to reopen the exact session with your prepared assets by clicking on Session, then Open, and selecting your previously saved sessions.